You know, you've spent years, even decades, just doing nothing but pouring toxins into your body, filling yourself up with garbage, and it's poisoning you. I don't know if you understand the weight of what I'm talking about right now, but let me spell it out for you. Every single day, you're not just eating junk. You're letting it seep into your thoughts, your energy, and your mental health. You've been told that food is just fuel, but it's far more than that. Because just like people, the right food, it can lift you up or it can bring you down. And it can bring you down in ways that maybe you've never thought of before. Maybe you're struggling right now, struggling to get through another day. Maybe you're struggling with depression and you just feel like you can't keep going. You might even be lost in a fog thinking about hurting yourself. You feel trapped and you just don't see any way out. But what if I told you that there is actually a connection between that food that you're putting into your body and that pain that you are feeling right now? Would you believe me if I told you that the fuel that you're choosing to put into your body every single day is actually what's making you feel defeated? Because the truth is when your nutrition is broken, you're broken. Welcome back to another episode of Sweat Talk. My name is Chad. Many people don't realize that our nutrition system is broken. We don't realize the toxicity in our food and our overall consumption. Our food system, our lifestyle, as well as our daily routines, they're all getting filled with toxins. The foods that we eat, in the ads that we see, in the endless media that we consume. Every time we turn around, we're fed with messages of indulgence, shortcuts, or convenience. And that exposure to junk, it's not limited to what you put on your plate. It's mental, it's emotional, and it's even spiritual. Think about how many times you've reached for a bag of chips or something that's inside of a box because it seemed like it was convenient or it seemed like it was easier. You tell yourself that it's more convenient and it's easier than actually preparing a nutritious meal or just going and throwing a steak on the grill. We need to actually face a reality here, because sometimes surviving another day, another week, or yet another year with that anxiety or that depression, with a weight from those on you, it's infinitely harder than just going and cooking something that's healthy for you. The amount of energy that it takes just to stay afloat with those debilitating thoughts and mental issues sometimes can be nightmarish. And the energy that it requires just to stay afloat with all of that it's astronomical. And just imagine if you could redirect some of that energy towards your nutrition. Redirecting that energy towards one single step or at one single step that could completely change your entire outlook. When you are committed to real, nutritious, whole food, you will be able to find that energy that you just simply didn't think that you had. You'll find that grabbing some fast food or ordering that Uber Eats actually takes just as long and just as much energy or longer than preparing something that's actually going to fuel you properly and lift you out of that fog of anxiety and depression. Fuel your body so that you can once again own and find that energy. But the payoff is night and day. You'll find that eating healthy doesn't take from you, it gives to you. I hear it all the time, eating healthy is too expensive. And that's one of the biggest excuses that people make. Let's be real, people will go and drop $8 a day on a cup of coffee. You've probably paid $20-25 for Uber Eats to deliver something to your door. And yet that same amount of money, it could have bought you a high quality steak. Or if you eat vegetables and fruit, it could have bought you a steak and fruit and vegetables. Heck, it probably could have bought you enough ingredients to make multiple meals. And you tell yourself that it costs too much, or you tell other people that it costs too much to eat healthy, but in reality it's costing you even more to stay in this cycle of fast food and convenience. If you break it down, what you're really doing is you're paying to feel terrible. You're paying to stay trapped in this cycle of addiction to fast food, processed food, and sugar. And your brain is screaming for nutrition, but then all you end up feeding it is empty calories that do nothing but drain you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Hell, we could even throw financially in there too. And all you're doing is you're starving your body and your mind of the nutrients that it actually needs. And the actual price that you pay for that is way more than that money, because it's actually your health, your future, and your peace of mind. There's this dude named Ancel Keys, A-N-C-E-L, Keys. And I'm mentioning him because there's something fundamental that we all need to know about our nutrition system as we know it, or our nutritional guidelines. And that history was poisoned. That history is a deception that has cost millions of lives. So look that man up, Ancel Keys. He was an American physiologist who did research for the FDA, but his studies were not pure science. This man's studies were bought and paid for by the big sugar industry. In today's terms, he was paid the equivalent of $50,000 by the big sugar industry to falsely conclude that saturated fats were the primary cause of heart disease and arterial issues. And this Keys guy, his work wasn't just inaccurate, it was a bald-faced lie. It was fraud. He published a fraudulent epidemiological study that opined saturated fat was bad and polyunsaturated fat is good. He opined that carbohydrates like sugar were healthier for you than those saturated fats. And in 2016, Harvard uncovered the truth behind this study. The man was bribed to falsify his findings, and he did it. And this single lie, this single fraud is responsible for millions of lives. It is responsible for congestive heart failure, diabetes, and this epidemic of obesity that we see today. And beyond physical illness, it's also affecting our mental illness, our mental health. And the worst part about it is this lie is still embedded in our medical literature. And even though it was wrong, they haven't taken it out. Nothing has been updated and nothing has been changed. And instead of helping this outdated advice and this lie of a study, all it's doing is making people more sick mentally, physically, and spiritually. And your doctor won't tell you the truth. It's not saying that there's anything malicious against doctors. In fact, I just found a YouTube channel from an amazing psychiatrist that I've used in the past. His name is Dr. Sharma. His YouTube channel is Concise Psych. I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description. Now, I don't know to what end he is still helping people right now. I know he has a website, he has a YouTube channel, and I also know that for you veterans, I do know that his practice is mainly geared towards helping veterans get their VA benefits that they've earned and deserve. He is an amazing man. He moved hell on earth for me when I needed it, and I have nothing but gratitude for that gentleman's generosity and kindness. Most of his content is geared towards us veterans, but he also has videos on there. He just did one that's awesome about dopamine. So he is gearing his channel towards a more broad outlook for people. But if you get a chance to check him out, I'll link his YouTube channel in the description. And by the way, he is not paying me to say this. I just appreciate that man so much for what he did for me. I want to give back to those who help others. Sometimes I feel like I can go on a tangent forever. So back to my point, when was the last time that your doctor told you that sugar may be the root cause of your illness or your issue, your condition? I'd be willing to bet it's been never. They will more point to overall you need to stop consuming so many carbs or whatever. But they don't directly line out sugar oftentimes. They'll tell you to watch your weight or eat less fat. But what they won't tell you is that sugar that you're consuming is actually it's an extremely addictive drug. And that addictive drug keeps you locked in this cycle. It keeps you locked in that yo-yo experience with the weight gain and the weight loss. But sugar addiction is real, man. And unfortunately, it is never talked about. I can't say never, but virtually never talked about. And just like any other addiction, it's gripping you and it's deadly. It's even so bad that like most of us won't even admit that we are addicted to sugar. We'll downplay our food consumption or our garbage consumption, and we'll tell ourselves or we'll tell others that we're not addicted to sugar, or we just enjoy our food too much. We won't admit to ourselves that we are addicted to sugar or those carbohydrates. We'll tell ourselves that we deserve that cheat meal, just like an alcoholic can sit down and have one more drink. But if you're struggling with your weight, if you're struggling with your mental health, all you're doing is feeding that addiction every single day, and you're fueling that problem instead of facing it. Because when you go have that cheat meal, you just restarted that cycle. Now I am a sugar addict. I'm absolutely addicted to sugar, like many of you. And we'll decide that we're gonna eat clean and we're gonna change and start eating healthy. And then over a period of time, we start to see those gains. We start to see the fat fall off of us. We start to see that muscle get built. And then because everything's been going so well, our mental clarity is back. We're freed from the mental fog or the brain fog. And then one day we decide that we're gonna have a cheat meal because we deserve it. Or we've done so well that we earned it. You tell yourself that just that one little meal won't hurt anything, but then that cheat meal triggers those cravings to come back and everything just spirals out of control. And then before you know it, you're right back in your old habits. You've gained every bit of weight that you have lost and then some. And then you're sitting there thinking, how in the hell did I end up here again? Everything was going so well. I was doing so good. We need to understand that those cravings, that loss of control, it's not a personal failure. It's actually a psychological response. Those sugars and those processed foods, they're actually designed to keep you coming back. They're actually designed to trap you. When you're trying to improve your life and improve your nutrition and lose that weight, those cheat meals, they aren't treats, they're traps. And to break free from it, you need to take an honest look at what's on your plate. But there is a path forward. And the good news is there is something that you can do to fix it and break that cycle. You can take control of it. And like with anything else, it starts with small intentional steps. Maybe you need to get rid of those carbs cold turkey, but sometimes people are able to wean themselves off them as well, slowly and over time. Regardless, you have to take intentional steps, and it really is as simple as taking one healthy step after another, after another. It's about making those healthy choices that nourish your body and your mind instead of keeping you chained. And I've said it multiple times before, I'm a carnivore. I only eat meat. 95% of what I consume is meat. How about that? Because I do still drink my coffee. I do still eat eggs. Every now and then I do have some cheese. But I have cut carbohydrates out of my life and out of my diet almost to a complete zero, or as close to zero as I can get. And I get a lot of kickback because I'm carnivore. People say that it's unhealthy or I'm gonna destroy my mind or my hormones. And it's nonsense. I'm not worried about my cholesterol. And if you're in a bad enough spot mentally where you feel the need to go start the hot end of a 9mm, who gives a shit about your cholesterol? And just because I eat meat doesn't mean that it's for everybody. Some people like vegetables, and some people even like to justify fruit. And if that's you, that's fine. Ultimately, do what works for you. Because when you give your body the fuel that it's actually craving, the fuel that it actually needs, you're going to find that energy, and you will feel the difference. When that mental fog starts to clear, that energy comes back, you can actually find yourself in a state of flow again. Your brain feels like it functions. That crushing feeling of depression and anxiety begins to lift, and you can start feeling more alive. Because the proper food, the proper nutrition, it doesn't just help your mind, it can also heal your body. And when you say to yourself, but I love my food, I could never be carnivore, you gotta remember that alcoholics and drug addicts love their dope as well. And just like drugs and alcohol, sugar is a drug, and you can fall off that wagon just like an alcoholic that has that one drink, or the smoker that has that one cigarette when he's out partying with his buddies. Sugar is the same way. And when you go for that cheat meal because you deserve it, or you've earned it, you gotta remember, you are a sugar addict. People don't think that sugar addiction is either real or they don't think it's serious. If you don't think that sugar addiction is serious, talk to the diabetic that went and got his foot cut off, that's sitting there stuffing his face with soda, chips, pizza, and boxed garbage. Go tell that to the gentleman that just had a heart attack, because these consequences to this addiction, the addiction to this drug, is in fact deadly. And I know that I'm addicted, and that's exactly why I only eat meat. That's why I don't eat carbohydrates, and I am here to tell you, it has been the single most life-changing thing that I've ever done in my life. I cannot put enough emphasis on how valuable the carnivore diet has been on me, mentally, physically, and spiritually. I don't think that that nutrition gets talked enough, especially not with mental health professionals. We don't acknowledge how deeply it can affect our everyday lives. Here's another one. There's a YouTube out there, a YouTube channel called The Metabolic Mind. And the channel is focused on your nutrition and your mental health. The damages, they're actually doing research on the damages of carbohydrates, your metabolism, and your mental health. Probably the only ones that are specifically doing that. I encourage you to go give that channel a look, because there is some extremely valuable and insightful information. When you get those carbohydrates out of your system, you can feel better, man. You can actually live your life without fighting those battles in your mind at a constant, but it all starts with what you have on your plate. So next time you reach for that bag of chips or go to order that fast food, remember and realize that you have a choice. You can either choose to consume real, nourishable, whole foods, or you can choose to go down back to that cycle. Because this isn't about just surviving another day. This is about living the life that you want to live. Just take a step back and decide that you're worth it, because you are. So if you guys made it this far, do me a favor and go down in that comments section and put the word nutrition, just the one word, nutrition. Let's realize how important our nutrition is, how important everything that we consume actually is, because it truly is the cornerstone of how we feel and live in this life. I appreciate you guys showing up. I appreciate all the generosity that you guys are giving, showing me and my family and this channel. Yesterday we broke 2 monumental milestones, absolutely monumental. This channel has received over 1 million views now and hit 20,000 subscribers in just over 2 months. And that wouldn't happen without you. I realize that wouldn't happen without you. I hope every one of you realizes just how important you are, your lives are, and how much I appreciate each and every one of you, and how I am grateful for you showing up for me, and I hope you're showing up for yourselves. And I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful day. Peace.